take that journey inward. The only way loving kindness and compassion will really flow naturally will be when you've really taken that journey inward and penetrated the false identity. Let's talk about loving kindness. I made a video recently called Loving Kindness and Billionaires, or Loving Kindness for Billionaires. And it was really a Q&A answer session where I was answering viewer comments. But I thought I would just do a bit of a follow-up on loving kindness specifically and compassion. And the video was pretty well received, I think, just based on the comments I saw. But there were a few people who led me to believe that I wasn't completely clear on the nature of loving kindness, or at least the point of it in reference to people that you may not feel particularly loving and kind toward. So yeah, I thought I would just flesh it out a little bit. And, I'm not the expert in this area necessarily, but I have a few things to say, and I'm just going to throw some things out that may be helpful. One thing I want to say about this is that I think it's helpful to see what it is that gets in the way of our natural outflow of love. Because I do think that this sort of outflow of love and compassion and acceptance is rather natural. It's what I think we find typically as the sort of default position once the obstructions of identity are cleared away, once the fundamental fixations around self and other and so forth are cleared away. We find that there's this general outpouring of love towards everything, really. And I think there's a quote by Nisargadatta that I think is really good. I've quoted many times, but he says, "In my world, love is the only law. I don't ask for it, I give it." And this becomes more and more what I think we find ourselves in alignment with in deeper realization. It's just an outpouring of love, compassion, and a sort of benevolence that is indiscriminate, right? So what is it that gets in the way of that? I think the simplest answer to this, and certainly an important thing to look at, is judgment. I think judgment gets in the way of it a lot. And judgment isn't just a simple momentary perception or thought. It has deeper roots, of course, than just a intellectual judgment or an intellectual evaluation of someone's behavior, their position, their anything, right? I think it does go a lot deeper than that, and it goes, if we follow it really deep, it goes down into our own self-judgment. And this, I think, is critical. I think this really gets to the point of what really can block a lot of people when it comes to loving kindness is they really don't have loving kindness toward themselves, right? This isn't, this message isn't something that's hidden. I mean, people say this in all kinds of forms, but I think it's true and important that if we feel significant judgment towards others, first of all, knowing that that's not the sort of default position, I think, that there is a deeper aspect to our own experience or a deeper dimension to our own experience when we're really aligned with our deepest truths, which go beyond the identity structure, that is fundamentally, naturally, and spontaneously compassionate. So if we don't have access to that, it's not a bad thing. It's a pointer. And the pointer is to look at, what is judgment about? Why do we judge others, right? What's so fun about this is it will very quickly lead us into the world of justification, right? I already know there are people who are listening to this who are going to have a tendency to do this right away, right? As I'm even speaking, their minds are probably justifying why they should feel judgment towards certain people, right? Or certain groups and so forth. But what I would suggest is that the judgment you feel is not actually for those people or groups. The judgment is for your idea of them. What you're judging is your own idea of them, right? And also, if you follow that finger inward, that's the finger pointing outward, follow the finger inward, where the judgment, the root of the judgment is, you're judging what you take yourself to be, right? You're judging not what you are, but what you take yourself to be. And that's not a bad thing that you're doing that. In fact, the whole spiritual endeavor really starts to unfold when we recognize that what we take ourselves to be is not fundamentally satisfying. It doesn't feel satisfying. It doesn't feel real in a lot of ways. It doesn't feel right, or it feels like constant struggle, or it feels like suffering, or it feels like self-hatred. It feels like a lot of things. But the point is that finger pointing inward, when we talk about judgment, is actually a judgment of what we take ourselves to be. And when we recognize that, that's good, because then we can see, oh, the judgment itself, when pointed inward instead of outward, is a perfect guidepost. It's saying, look here, right? And it's important to hear this, I think, in the context of awakening, because without that, then it's like, well, no, I don't want to judge myself for being judgmental, right? So I'll just keep looking outward, right? It's almost like there's a shame there around that. But if you see it in alignment with what I'm talking about, that the identity structure itself, that part of yourself that feels like you're judging and judged by yourself, and maybe by others, probably by others, right? You have that sense that others judge you as well, or have judged you. When you see that whole structure itself is the barrier, it is the obstruction, it is the fundamental illusion, now you're making progress for sure, right? So I think judgment is a really good pointer here. And so when I talk about loving kindness, or anyone does, or compassion, or any of it, and you find yourself saying, well, what about the soldiers who are doing this in this country right now? Or what about whatever, billionaires, whatever it is, right? What is your go-to for the group you hate, right? What is the go-to for the group you judge? What is your go-to for, right? I get it. And there are good justifications for judging behavior, for sure, of certain people, of certain groups and all that. But when you're watching my videos and you're on this channel, I'm already making the assumption you're trying to wake up. So what I'm telling you is take that finger and point it back inward. Go, what do I judge about myself? Why do I judge myself? What does it feel like to judge myself? Am I avoiding even seeing that I'm judging myself? And then really feel, if you feel deeply in, you're going to get directly into the emotion body very quickly. You may feel shame, anger, rage, frustration. You're going to feel all that. That's just how this goes, right? Once you feel that, you're in good territory. Then you can start to really look and go, well, what is it that I take myself to be in the first place, right? What am I assuming is true about me? And take that journey inward. And the only way loving kindness and compassion will really flow naturally, really, will be when you've really taken that journey inward and penetrated the false identity. Before that, you can practice it, and it's good to practice it, I think, but it'll be a practice, and it may not be fully authentic, and you may really have trouble and struggle with it with certain people, certain groups, certain situations, probably most importantly, certain situations when you feel triggered. And here's another point that points back to you, right, is that judgment, as I said, it's not really about who you think it's about. It's about your idea of them, but your idea of them is directly related to your idea of you, right? And when you see this, it's all an inside job, right? You have such an ample opportunity to start to really look into what is judging. What is it that's judging? What is it here that's looking out the world, constantly judging it? What is it here that's looking inward and judging me all the time? What is it that's doubting myself, that's hating myself? What is it that's mad at the world for making me hate myself? Like, what is that, right? Keep looking, keep seeing. What is the mechanism? Okay, I can see the mechanism, thoughts. There's thoughts. What is it that believes the thoughts? Who or what believes those thoughts, right? And it may seem, if you're really intellectual about this, it may seem like that's almost dodging or bypassing like the problems of the world, but I promise you it's not. You're going to the root of what the issue really is, I promise. When you get to that root, you'll see the work that needs to be done, and you'll do the work because it's too uncomfortable not to, right? And this really is the key to loving kindness and compassion. Maybe I'll make more videos about this, but I think I'll stop there just because I think the judgment point is so important. I'm going to read a poem. Most of you probably heard this. But it's a very good one. And it goes right to the heart of this issue of what do we do about so-and-so and this person and that person that's so unconscious, and the groups that are causing all the harm and violence and trauma in the world, and those who traumatize me, like all of it, right? I get it. I get that. What do we do about all that in the context of awakening? Well, again, loving kindness, compassion, and awakening are all interrelated. And they all three will come to fruition at some point. But you can't, it's like, I don't know, three legs on a stool, 3 legs on a chair, 3-legged chair. You can't have that chair with 2 legs. You got to have all 3 at some point. But anyway, here's the poem, right? It's called Please Call Me by My True Names by Thich Nhat Hanh. Don't say that I will depart tomorrow. Even today I'm still arriving. Look deeply. Every second I'm arriving. To be a bud on a spring branch. To be a tiny bird with still fragile wings, learning to sing in my new nest. To be a caterpillar in the heart of a flower. To be a jewel hiding itself in a stone. I still arrive in order to laugh and to cry, to fear and to hope. The rhythm of my heart is the birth and death of all that is alive. I am the mayfly metamorphosing on the surface of the river, and I am the bird that swoops down to swallow the mayfly. I am the frog swimming happily in the clear water of a pond, and I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. I am the child in Uganda, all skin and bones, my legs as thin as bamboo sticks, and I am the arms merchant selling deadly weapons to Uganda. I am the 12-year-old girl refugee on a small boat who throws herself into the ocean after being raped by a sea pirate. And I am the pirate, my heart not yet capable of seeing and loving. I am a member of the Politburo with plenty of power in my hands, and I am the man who has to pay his debt of blood to my people dying slowly in a forced labor camp. My joy is like spring, so warm it makes flowers bloom all over the earth. My pain is like a river of tears, so vast it fills the 4 oceans. Please call me by my true names so I can hear all my cries and my laughter at once, so I can see that my joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. So this poem, what this does is it calls us back and says, okay, I know you're angry about what happened to you. I know you're angry about who has harmed you. I know you're angry about the world out there and those in the world who continue to do harm on massive scales. I know you're angry about that. And that anger is a conduit deep into yourself, deep into your identity, because you don't deserve to suffer. And those who have harmed you were unconscious. But you can become conscious. You can't make them conscious, and you can't change the past. But you can become conscious, and you can continue to become more and more conscious. You can continue to dissolve the illusions, the illusory boundaries, the fixations and obstructions. And what will naturally flow from that will be compassion and loving kindness towards yourself and toward all of life. All that walks and all that does not walk. All that breathes and all that does not breathe. You will feel this outflow of compassion toward all that is and all that, even all that is not.